Okay, guys. Gather around, gather around, gather around. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you something that's going to shock your socks off. There is something that's actually worse than racism. I know, it's shocking, right? It's like, it's unbelievable because we're told that being a racist is worse than being the devil himself. That racism is the worst plague that can ever come upon the planet Earth as we stand as human beings, okay? But let me tell you something. What's worse than racism, I believe, is this intellectual discrimination. I don't know. I know there has to be a better word for it. I'm just saying so. Please comment. Send me in the comments. Give me a better word. I'm struggling right here. I'm struggling, okay? Help us sister out. But what's going on is, you know, I've been mulling this over. I always mull this over because this is kind of one of my hugest, largest pet peeves. And then I see the Project Veritas video that they just dropped. That's talking about the guy from PBS. He's like a senior counsel. So he's a top dog there. I don't exactly know what his position is, but he's a senior position, head of CBS. He's caught on tape basically talking about how he wants to throw Molotov cocktails at the White House and, you know, how to take people's kids and put them in entrainment camps, and that it's okay that COVID goes and kills all the stupid people in the cities. That's terrible. What a terrible fucking awful human being, right? And now, but in society, you know, we're trained to think if you're intellectual, you're above that. You're a good person. You're above that. You're tolerant. You don't discriminate. You know, you're way evolved and you're beyond that sort of, you know, childish, ignorant thinking. But here he is sitting up being like, oh, I hope all the people in the towns die because they're stupid. Wow. I'm not surprised. I'm glad they caught his ass on tape, you know. But I mean, this whole intellectual thing, like I have a friend whose sister's a doctor, and she basically looks down on other family members that don't have less than a master's degree. It's insane. Okay? This is the type of discrimination that I think actually is worse than the, you know, stereotypical racist that's going to lynch you or beat you or stab you or steal your purse or whatever. Because people give their energy to them, they can create more damage. For instance, when they use science, right? They say stuff, and they'll say stuff like, oh, well, science says, or there's a study that came out, or the experts say, who are these fucking experts? Who? Oh, but as long as you say the experts, science, study, people are like, oh, okay. And they'll just do whatever you fucking tell them. Because this whole like illusion of intellectuals not only being smarter or more learned in a certain area of expertise, but they're just better human beings as a whole. And anybody else that hasn't gone to school for 1,000 years like they have, they're just like lowly, low life people that just need to die. And you know, they think they own everything. They think they own people's thoughts, their lives, their fates. You know, and I was looking at this really good interview by Thomas Sowell, where he wrote this book called Intellectuals in Society, and he talks about this arrogant attitude that creates these like altruistic psychopaths. They'll kill people, you know, willingly and wittingly because they think they know what's best. So, you know, it's sad because, you know, I would love Sesame Street. I watch Sesame Street, Electric Company, 321 Contacts, Mr. Rogers. What are all the programs that we grew up watching as kids that were educational on PBS? As I've gotten older, now that I found that they could still have been used for good, and I still got a lot out of watching those programs, just to be fair. But now they're being used as communist propaganda to brainwash kids. I think I had kids, I'm just gonna put tape on their eyes and just there's so much coming at these kids. You parents out there, dude, God bless you, because it must be hard. I respect parents so much. It's the hardest job in the world, right? Is not only do you got to work, but you're thinking that you're leaving your kid at home and maybe putting PBS on. You know, PBS is safe, right? Because they're not showing violence and not showing like gore and other stuff, but that stuff's bad too. But it's like, but you think you're putting your kids in front of an organization, you think you're having your kid watch something from an organization that has their best intentions in mind, but they don't. Right? They just want you to turn you into an indoctrinated zombie, just like they are. And if you don't want to turn into an indoctrinated zombie, then you should die. You should die of coronavirus because you're stupid and you don't deserve to live. That's their attitude. That's their attitude. And to me, that's a very supremacist attitude. And when people talk about racism, they only apply it to skin color. So, you know, in that sense, it's not okay to have that same type of hatred and disdain because of somebody's skin, but it's okay to have that same hatred and disdain because of somebody's educational level, right? Let me tell you something. My cousin, who has a bachelor's, made money on the side by writing people's dissertations and writing their essays for them while they got their masters. She had a job doing that. They're actually, I thought I didn't do it, but I thought about actually joining one of these organizations where people, you write people's papers for them for college. There are organizations you can go and you can hire people to write your papers for you. You can hire people, you can have somebody take your SAT test for you. I mean, just that alone, okay? You can pay for your credential. 1, 2, just because you have a credential doesn't mean that you know everything, right? It's like people give Bill Gates all this credence about vaccines. He's not a fucking doctor. He doesn't know about medicine. He's praised for his operating system, which he stole, okay? He didn't even fucking create that. But people are like, oh, he's a genius. He's a billionaire. Like, what? Get the fuck out of here. These people are terrible. You know, they can say, oh, well, you know, they're not going to walk into a black community and shoot a bunch of black people, but they'll do eugenicist shit. They'll just be like, oh, well, abortion isn't killing babies. It's a clump of cells. Because they're scientists and because they're the experts, people will be like, oh, yeah, it's just a clump of cells. It's not a human. And then then their brain switches off and they have no remorse about, having abortions. And then, they put the abortion clinics in the black communities and the lower income communities where, and they make it really accessible for people to basically genocide themselves. But they're science. They're the experts. They're the intellectuals, right? All these experiments. I posted a few weeks ago the Stanley Plotkin deposition, where he's basically a virologist that was under oath and talking about how he experimented on millions of Africans in the Congo with vaccines. But it's science, you guys. He's an intellectual. It's okay. It's okay, right? But if he was like a redneck that went into the Congo and just like shot up a bunch of Africans, then that's not cool. Neither one of those things are cool. But I'm just trying to get you to see how these motherfuckers get away with their intellectual, discriminatory ass attitudes by killing and harming more people than the people that they say are the bad people, when they're the bad guys. These people are fucking psychopaths. They project onto you what they're doing themselves. And he's calling Trump Hitler. I was like, is this dude an intellectual, but he hasn't read a history book? Really? A president that hasn't engaged in any wars and violence and didn't even say, when we were at the Capitol last week, he didn't incite violence. He told us to go march peacefully to the Capitol. We were actually supposed to hear other people speak. But now they're like, oh, it's terrible. Meanwhile, in Seattle, they're making whole fucking other cities and shit, blocking off places in Seattle, creating chads and shit, burning down police things, ruining people's businesses, destroying their lives, shooting people that are Trump supporters. But that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, fuck these people. I'm so glad. And he got fired. Yay. Yay. Right? So, there's a lot more to go. There's a lot more to expose. But this fucker is no better than a Klan member. Worse. He's actually worse. He's actually causing more damage. The brainwashing, the mass mind control that the television has done to this generation is the main reason why we're in this situation in the first place. Not allowing other people to speak, not allowing not allowing freedom of expressions. And when that happens, it's easy to categorize one type of person, as or a group of people as one thing, and then you censor them so they can't speak out, so you can't give them a voice. Then the other side believes what they're being propagandized to hear, and it creates this tension, it creates this hatred. These fuckers need to fry. I'm so sick of this shit. Great. I'm so glad. I hope there's more. I can't wait. This shit can't go on. These people need to be exposed. Anyway, that is my spiel for today. I was just lit. I was just livid. I was just like, this whole, it's such a racket, you guys. It's such a racket. I only went to school because I graduated a year early and I wasn't 18, and that was the only way I can get away from my parents because they were so controlling. That's one racket I figured out, because by that time I met a shit ton of people who were super smart who didn't even go to school, who didn't even finish college. And I was just like, well, I don't need college. I mean, I went, I finished, I'm in debt, but but I've never held high having a college degree or being credentialed or educated in that high regard. I've never had that like bias for or against people that had degrees or not. You know, it's just interesting how people can cry all day about racism, but you know, it's okay to discriminate based on who's more intellectual or not. When these people, you know, that are living in their smart cities and shit, that don't know how to build shit, that can't build things, that can't grow things, can't even put a shelf up probably. You know, when shit hits the fan, they're going to be the first ones to die. All they're going to have to eat is their iPhones. Well, I'm going to the people, I'm glad I made friends with them. I'm going to the people that can hunt and can fish and can grow things, that can build things, that know about mechanics, know about nature, and can start fires from scratch. Like, those are the people I'm going to be hanging out with. Those are the homies right there. I'd be like, peace, y'all, right? I just wish I would be like I can like remote view. If shit hits the fan really hard, I can remote view into the cities and just watch these people like freak out and just run around in a circle. Because that's probably what they'll do. While the deplorables in the Midwest, they're the meek. They're going to be inheriting the earth. So anyway, y'all, that's it. I thought that was the end of my spiel the first time. Okay, this is really it for Really Reals. And I will talk to you later. Peace, truth, love. Bye-bye. Mwah.